Hey guys, Coach Alex Gonzalez coming at you with a great Mobility Monday. Today we're talking about PNF stretching. I'm going to go over what it is, how to do it, when not to do it. But before we get into that, we're almost done with the month of September. We've got our Super September shirts here. I love the way that they feel around the arms. They taper really well around the waist. They're a limited run, so go ahead and grab one while you can. I'm going to leave a link down in the comments below. Today we're talking about PNF stretching, so let's jump right into it. So, PNF stretching. Now, I've touched on this time to time in class, but what is it exactly? Well, PNF stretching stands for proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. Now, it's not going to be super important for us to remember that, but PNF stretching is going to be one of the quickest and most efficient ways to increase our mobility in a short time. PNF stretching can be applied to most muscle areas, but it's most common in the legs, so like our quads, our glutes, and our hamstrings. PNF stretching is efficient enough to where we can see increases in our own mobility in about 5 minutes. So now that we know a little bit about PNF stretching, how do we do it? Now, ideally, you're going to do this with a partner who's going to assist you through a passive range of motion. They're going to take you to that end range of motion and hold that stretch for about 30 seconds. After those 30 seconds, you're going to go through 3 rounds of 6-second isometric holds. Between each 6-second hold, you're going to be going about 10 seconds for rest. Now, in these 10-second rests, you can pull just a little bit further and notice that your stretch is going to go just a little further. After you finish all 3 sets, then you're going to pull just a little bit further and sit in your newfound range of motion for about 30 seconds. Now, this doesn't require maximum effort when it comes to those isometric holds. Studies have shown that a higher percentage contraction may help get into a further stretch, but actually increases the risk of injury. Further studies were conducted where certain groups were placed into a 20% isometric hold, a 60%, and a 100%. All 3 groups were found to have a sufficient mobility increase. PNF stretching works by activating the GTOs when responding to a dangerous stimulus. This stimulus being an overstretching or an overcontraction. Now, this is a normal job of the GTOs. When a muscle gets too tight, when it gets overstretched, they activate within the tendons and relax the entirety of the muscle. Let's take a trip downstairs. It's always a good idea before we get into any type of mobility testing to test our mobility before and after. A great way to find the hamstring baseline is to pick the point right between the hip and the knee and imagine a line going straight up here. Now with that line visualized, we should be able to raise the leg up and see where our mobility is in that hamstring. Now that we've got our baseline mobility, we can get into the actual PNF stretching. Now I do recommend that we use a partner with this, but I'm on my own, so I'm going to be using our Extra Genie. If you are alone at home, you can absolutely do this up against a door frame or even with a band. So again, now that we have our baseline mobility, I'm going to raise my leg to that point where I feel a good stretch. Now I'm going to hold this here for about 30 seconds. Now after 30 seconds, I'm going to push and I'm going to isometrically contract this hamstring here. I'm pushing straight down and I'm resisting this here and I'm going to relax. See, I'm going to be pushing for 6 seconds and I'm going to do 3 sets of this with about 10 seconds rest in between. Now that 10 seconds has elapsed, I'm going to push again. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm going to relax. Again, giving myself 10 seconds to relax. One more time. Down. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. After this 3rd round, I'm going to give myself a good inhale and exhale. So just with that little bit of activation, look how much further my leg is actually able to go. Now this only took me about 2 minutes to get into. Remember, everything we do to one side, we got to do to the other, so go ahead and swap sides. Now there are a couple of things to keep in mind when we are doing PNF stretching. We absolutely don't have to give 100% effort when going into these isometric contractions. Studies have shown that a higher percentage contraction, though may give us a better stretch, actually increases our risk of injury. So how is PNF stretching going to affect my performance? Well, the effects of PNF stretching last for about 90 minutes and maybe up to 2 hours. This all depends on previous range of motion and hydration levels. Now, many studies have shown that this is going to be better done after we do intense exercise. This is because with more powerful exercises, so like sprinting, cutting, weightlifting, it's actually going to slow down our fast twitch muscle fiber, thus decreasing our overall power output. This being said, it actually shows an increase in performance when it comes to lower intensity exercises like jogging. Athletes who went through about a 5-week period going through PNF stretching actually found an increase in their stride rate and stride length. Anyway guys, that's all I got for y'all today. Hope you learned something new. Like I said earlier, go ahead and snag one of these shirts. They're a limited run. September is almost over. I'm going to leave a link down in the comments below. This is always a conversation, so tell me what we learned down in the comments. Other than that, be good, drink some water. I'll see y'all in the next one.